you can have these goals, but if they don't have a process behind it, it's usually what they stay as, just these dreams of what could be.
The best business leaders say, what problems am I going to have 6 to 12 months from now? We need to start solving for those today.
As we move into 2025, doubling the volume that we did in 2024, this is exactly what needs to be put in place.
As we head into this new year, and before we head into it, one of the key things we've been doing is reflecting on how did 2024 go. We're asking ourselves what went well, what didn't go so well, and what are we going to do to improve on it. We're asking that at the company level, right, to reflect on 2024. And then we're also going in and individually asking ourselves, what does that look like? What does that look like on each employee that's part of this company? What went well for each one of us? What didn't go so well? And what are we going to do to improve on it? And then we're also very proactively planning for 2025, more proactive than I have ever been, because what I see and learn when you look at these people doing the biggest things, they don't just have the big idea. They also have a meticulous plan behind it. And in this podcast, we're going to touch base on what we learned in 2024 and our plan to make 2025 the best year we've ever had. Without further ado, please help me welcome our project manager and my best friend, Conor Johnston. Right now, when you look at 2024 and you reflect on it, what do you think some of the things that went well for us as a company were?
I think we have a lot to pull from that we can be super proud of. We met early this year, and we were a big emphasis on processes as a company. It's a small company that's trying to figure it out. If you look at where we're at now at the end of this year and the standard operating procedures that we have in place now as far as our back end goes, and in the field, and how those are coming together. It's a really big deal. We have a well-oiled operating machine right now, and we're in a position where our systems are in place, and now we can scale with humans and projects, and it's going to blast off into 2025.
It's those processes and building those processes out a thing that is prioritized is really difficult, because it feels like this crazy mix of homework and pulling teeth.
It's exactly it. It takes so much brain power to get it off the ground. But what you begin to realize is with that massive action and push to get them in place, completing those homework assignments, that gives you the ability then to relinquish all of that stuff that you either keep in your head or that you have to hold on to as you're running multiple projects across different regions in the state. With these processes that we have in place now, you can rely on our team members. And as our team grows, you have a situation now where you can dish off different workloads and requirements and feel comfortable that if they follow this process that's set in place now, you can execute the way you want to execute.
I couldn't agree more. And it's interesting because there's a great book that explains the level of where your business will go will purely rely on the level of leadership that you can get to. And part of that is being able to let go, like properly delegate what you need to get clarity on what the process looks like, get clarity on where you're going, and then properly delegate that the right way. And what sometimes what I found when I first started doing that, what can be the hardest thing to do once you have the clarity, the process, it's actually kind of funny, like the challenge of, let's say there's a lot going on and this process, this thing you were doing, well, it's comfortable for you, it's easy for you, you're used to it, it's part of what your job has been. The key point, it was part of what your job has been. It won't get you where you want to go, but it's comfortable. You relate back to that. So before you hand it off, sometimes if it even feels like, I remember it even feels like maybe you can't hand this off. Oh, can I even hand this off? Take like the draw process as an example. Can we even hand this off? Can we even do that?
Yeah.
Right?
That's exactly it. And that's what we're talking about when we're talking about having processes in place. It's coming up with a mechanism where you can basically impart all of that experience and action into a package that you can hand to someone and they can run with it. And that was a really tough part as far as the draw processes go, because it's so detail oriented and it's the lifeblood of our company, and have to relinquish that. As I was in it day in, day out as far as getting it from point A to point B and pushing it out to the banks. That was my whole role, and putting that into a process has allowed me to bring on someone to help and now actually drive that.
Yeah. If you think about as we start to grow the team, we have to solve proactively for future problems ahead of time. Yesterday we were with Natalie and she said it great. She said the best business leaders, they look 6-12 months ahead, say what problems am I going to have 6 to 12 months from now, and we need to start solving for those today so that we're not just reactively dealing with it, right? We're proactively focused on solving those today. And as we start to build this out and continue to paint both a clearer vision and a bigger vision, right? Solving for the problems. Once we hit those, solving proactively for those problems is one of the key things to do. You see it even like we looked forward on all the projects we have coming up in 2025 to hit our visions, to hit our goals, to go where we want to go, which is, we'll be pushing to open up a fund. We'll be tapping into the affordable housing component. We're going to double our volume of just products produced to get where we want to go. We can't continue to do what we want to do. And you see like your role, what you're doing in the company now, having 2 assistant project managers under you, and then what we're going to do to grow within 2025, right? If you continue to do those everyday things, we'd never get to where we would want to go. And so we're going to continue to see that same system, proactive planning to solve problems that have not yet hit us, be the key to us hitting.
That's exactly right. And if we reflect on 2024, at the beginning of 2024, that was you bringing on, taking a chance and investing back into the company and bringing on kind of that first level of people to surround yourself with and to help you drive and run this company. And if we take those 12 months and where we're at today, I like to think back. I like to actually think now how much you have to touch the projects that has gotten shifted on, the processes got put in place, and we've got more and more detailed now in what that looks like from course of construction. So now when we have a new project starting, we know what that pre-con cycle work looks like, course of construction, and what the post-construction looks like. And we have team members now that are able to slot in and run that for us. And like you said, as we move into 2025 and anticipate at least doubling the volume that we did in 2024, this is exactly what needs to be put in place.
Yeah, it's super exciting to be able to look back and say, hey, from the day even that you decided to come from New York, join the team, and we started building this thing together, really started working on building this thing from this wild, chaotic, let's just try to make this happen, to going through the phase of, okay, now we're building systems and we're bringing employees on, and now we're working on culture, right? Even this year, I would say we did some planning, but this year was really the first year where we invested time, energy, and money into doing business planning for 2025, right? Getting mentorship in how to do that and then put it into play.
Yes.
And it's exciting to be able to do that. What did you think about when we took that time to invest that money to go and do that? What do you think about when we do something like that?
I mean, it shifts your the way you think about the business and how you protect it and how you grow it. You can have these goals, but if they don't have a process behind it, then that's usually what they stay as, just these dreams of what could be. Yeah. But this business planning helps put things into action. On both, you think about it on a yearly time scale, and then you scale that down actually into months and weeks and days, and it gives you a framework to go after these lofty goals that we're setting for ourselves in 2025 and beyond. But it's giving us the tools to execute on a daily basis, and it's helping us. We knew what we wanted to execute in 2024, and that was to grow the team and to work at getting better and better with our standard operating procedures and our processes across the company. But the business planning that we've invested in for 2025 has basically equipped us with the tools to go after these lofty goals that we have in place.
Yeah. It's going to be really exciting. It's like, it's a recreation, right? Because to go where you want to go, like doing what we're doing right now will not get us where we want to go. No. And so you have to do full recreation, both of yourself personally and of the business and the business goals. And it's a wild thing to go through, to think about, the best people. Like, I love going around. We just came back from a trip. I loved going there. We went to Conor Ventures, and we were just around these really big thinkers, Brandon, Natalie Dotson, Chris Workman, just these big thinkers, people who think far beyond most people they would even let themselves dream to think, right? But they don't just think about it. The action they put behind it and the meticulous planning that they have. They don't just, if you ask a regular person on the street or at lunch, like, hey, do you have some goals for 2025? Most of them would say that they're going to, after their New Year's drinking on the 31st, maybe the next day, they're going to write out a couple little goals. They're usually around like, hey, start a gym membership. Gym memberships go up. And then after about, 3 to 5 weeks of trying to fight through it, they fall right back into the regular pattern. They don't even want to make the time to do the planning beforehand. Well, then there's another level, like we're working on the next level where we're proactively planning before the year ends. We're going to have a kickoff. We're going to do a full reform of both the company, where it's going, and person where we're at. And then you have the major, what I learned yesterday is then you have the major thinkers. They're not just thinking about 2025. They have a meticulous plan for 36 months from now, what's going to happen step by step, meticulously thought about and planned out. And what I also love is once they have clarity on that, and the same thing that you're going to see us do with our company, right? This full adjustment and change. Once the clarity of the vision is set like that, that is what's going to be accomplished. And either you want to be a part of it and our group will rise to the occasion to create it, or some people will part ways. Inevitably, some people will part ways with us because to have a big vision, the amount of accountability, discipline, and massive action that it takes to execute. You can't just be 9 to 5, or you can't be a 459er and be a part of something that's going to become major, right? It's inevitably what's going to happen is either you're not going to like the new standards that are set, right? And you're going to fall off, or you're going to rise to the occasion. And when I'm around people like that and their relentless pursuit at their major vision, it just energizes and inspires me.
And actually, all that said, then reflecting in what we've created now, it's exciting that we have the people around us. The team is 10 now. And that was 5 at the beginning of 2024. So moving into 2025, I think we've done a really good job at Momentasize as a company. Those are the people that are going to launch this into orbit. And I think we do have those people on our team who will step up and raise that standard with us. And
I agree 100%. And it'll be really fun to even watch how that develops, that individually and as a company.
Agreed. I like the story you shared with me. You came across someone at Conor Ventures in the hallway, and you just asked, like, what have you learned being here as a part of this company? And if you want to share.
I asked the one of the guys there, he'd been there since 2021, and I said, hey, what are some of the biggest things you learned? And what he said was that when he was working there for a little bit, after a little bit of time, Brandon, he wanted to do this new thing. He had a vision. He wanted to do this thing, an audible thing, something that the team felt like they didn't have the resources or ability to do. And Brandon's like, hey, we're going to do this. And the original response from JC was the guy, was like, well, we can't do it. We don't have the resources. And Brandon was like, wait a second, like, we are going to completely reform your mind here. He said, you go into the other office and you take an hour to think about how we're going to get this done, or you're not going to be a part of this group. That mindset does not exist in this company. It is we are going to figure it out, and we're going to figure it out fast mentality. And he said, he'd never been held to a standard like that. And he loved it. He rose to the occasion. Nobody had ever made him think like that, right? As instantly he turned his brain on, rather than say, I can't do this. He instantly turned his brain on. Who do I need to call? What resources do I need to look at? I have to know somebody that knows somebody that knows how to do this. And, he said he loved that mentality shift. He'd never been held to that standard, and it made him rise up. He said some other people, right, that were along that journey, many of the employees that started weren't there towards the end. And, that's not a bad thing or a good thing. It's just when somebody has a big vision and then they hold themselves first and foremost and everyone around them accountable to be the best. I mean, that's where the magic happens, right?
That's the special part about doing that business planning that we invested in moving into 2025. It helped us realize that we've got to realign our culture as a company
Yeah.
and establish that culture and the buy-in and have everyone understand what our mission is. And I think there's going to be this massive realignment. We've got our word urgency in 2025, but I think about that story and the places that we're going to go in 2025, having to explore these new arms, these new creative ideas in the affordable space, being one of them, and the challenges that we're undoubtedly going to come and face, and have to be creative and solution oriented.
And the idea of when we were planning, like the reason why 2025 is going to be our year of urgency is because if you think about the one resource we'll never get back, the one we can always go create more opportunities, more money, etc., but we will never get back time. And so we cannot waste any time. The idea of urgency comes because to do something big, it takes that massive action. And so replacing the idea of, oh, we'll do this tomorrow with no, we're going to get it going now. The momentum, that's what Momentasize is, right? Is to conquer the moment, in the moment, take care of what you need to take care of to get things moving and going. And so it's a huge reform. Like to do that isn't how we have operated. We do a okay job, but we haven't hit that as the main focus, main word, right? Like sometimes we have projects that should have been getting built in 5 months and they got built in 8 months or 9 months. That's because we didn't have the same
standard that was set. Exactly.
That was set.
And that was who we were last year. And moving into this year, we have to adapt, change if we want to achieve these lofty goals that we believe we can.
It's a major reform of who you were so that you can go where you want to go. And it's exciting. It's also, what's interesting about those is like, you look at the year and you know, it's exciting to see the growth. It's disappointing in a way. And Natalie said this yesterday, and I actually resonate a lot with it. Like of when you don't tap into your full potential, there should be disappointment when you reflect on that, right? Yeah. Because if you want to become the best you can be, the game you versus you, the best you can be, if you reflect and you're honest with yourself, we all have moments where we didn't approach it in that way, right? And so there should be some disappointment in the fact that we didn't bring everything we could to it. Yeah. And that's why I like that. The urgency word to me, just it's such a motivating word, and it's such a great reminder to produce, you know, the best you can with the moment you have.
And the construction business, what does that mean? It means on time and on budget, and the best product we can do under those two constraints.
Yeah, it's going to be super exciting to see where it goes. And there'll be, you know, inevitably there's always going to be these problems that we'll face. And it's going to be really exciting to be able to, as a group, come together to solve those problems the best we can, to create positive pivots for them. And I think that we'll see 2025 become one of the most pivotal, foundational moments in this company's history. We have to think about statistically, 97% of businesses fail within 10 years. 97, or another way to say it, only 3% of them last past 10 years. We're headed into year 5, right? We're headed into year 5. And that's why urgency, we need to fight like hell to be part of the 3% rather than the 97. And I'm just excited to watch this all unfold. I know it's going to be massively demanding of both ourselves internally, every individual within the company. I think we've got some of the best potential people to bring it to life that we could, and it's going to be great to see where it goes.
I agree. Do we have our goals to share for 2025?
Let's do it.
Put it out there in public.
Yeah.
We've got on the roster right now, we've got 21 townhomes that we will be getting C of Os on in 2025. We will be building over 76 apartment units in 2025. We will be doing over 25 single-family homes in 2025, and we will be entering the affordable market and doing, at minimum, 30 units in 2025. And I think those are executable.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. They're challenging, difficult, and executable. And then on top of it, you will also see us spin out a couple other ideas that we'll push hard on, you know, and it'll be really exciting. It'll be really exciting, really challenging. It's going to be super demanding, but what else would we want?
We've got the team for it, and we've got the framework to build out for it.
Yeah. Good. Well, now it's out in the universe. As one of our challenges, continuous. We have the business one, and one I'm finishing up right now, as well as the personal planning. So, we're going to drop this one for you guys as soon as we can, because our challenge, and my challenge, Conor's challenge, everyone's challenge to myself is to have all this planning in place before you head into 2025, because it just puts you at such an advantage, to have that plan, to have a clear answer. Yeah. When somebody asks you what your plan is, you should be able to clearly answer it. If you haven't, then either you just want to have an easy, average life, or if you want a real big, major, what Patrick Bet-David would call the audacious few, and others would call something else. Patrick Bet-David is where we copy this business planning from, where we're learning from, right? If you really want to be a part of that, then planning is a key component. So I challenge everybody to get your plans in place right now, study them, and then put them out in the world just like we did, because that holds accountability within itself.
Yeah. Do you have any personal ones you want to share now, or do you want to take?
Yeah, no, we got in each component, there's different ones. But I would say one of my biggest personal, if I would say go for a word, right? If we just all encompass word, the one I have for myself internally is the year of self-reliance. I don't like having any, my destiny in anyone else's hands. Yeah. And so the major goal and major challenge, which is difficult to do, is to create the year of self-reliance, so that by the end of 2025, it doesn't matter, right? If other people are winding down their vision or not building or whatever, it doesn't matter. The inevitable component will be that we will have self-reliance in everything that we're doing. And so that's a major goal that is actually difficult for me, a little bit blurry for me. It's going to be really challenging, right? Because there's capital constraints to doing that. So you got to get really creative in solving that. And so that's my big word for the year. My personal one is it's going to be the year of self-reliance. What about you?
I like framing it as a word and then having things fall off of that. But as personal goals, I've got some that we'll be sharing together in the world of health and fitness, going after our updated marathon goal and half marathon goal. And then on the family side, big one in 2024 was the purchase of our first home, my Neva's first home.
Yeah, and unpack that a little bit, because that's a self-limiting belief, even when that happened, right? Unpack that a little bit as far as just even the belief that you could buy a home.
Yeah, for everyone, what happened, the way this all unfolded was Dirk brought it to my attention. He said, "There's a home for sale here in Bend, Oregon," and I didn't think I was in a financial situation to be able to execute on that. And essentially, when it got brought up, Dirk gave the push and tied it up. I tied it up under contract and had 30 days to figure it out. And little did I know, at the end of the day, going through the underwriting process, figured out that in fact I was in a position to do this on paper. But that was a really challenging thing because you have to expose yourself. You have to basically identify where you're weak financially, personal finance level, and then that gets exposed, and then people see that, and you don't want to. No one wants to experience failure or denial. So, and that's the route that I thought it was going to go in the home purchasing process, but through it, even I figured it out, ended up closing on the home, which is a huge deal for us moving forward. But in 2025, I've got the plan is to put myself in a position where I can essentially buy another single family home. Yeah. And I've got the plan laid out. We've shared it. I've shared it with you, but it's one that I'm going to execute on in 2025.
Boom. I have no doubt you'll do it. And that's the same thing of urgency, right? Like, take this first step forward now. And even if it hurts, I'd rather have the awareness around what I have to do than what I would say is a lot of times happens is we don't even want to go there. We don't even want to see it. And so we don't even think about it or talk about it. We just ignore it. Right. And so, I commend you on moving that forward and taking the steps. And I have no doubt that'll occur. And, I'm excited to watch how 2025 unfolds. I think it's going to be like I said before, I think it's going to be, when we look back in 10 years, it's going to be one of the most pivotal, foundational moments in the Momentasize company's time. And it's going to happen in a sense of urgency, in a blink of an eye. And I think we'll look back. It'll be great to have this podcast because, it's a challenging thing to do, but I really believe that in my heart that 2025 will become one of the most pivotal moments for this company. And I can't
I'm
wait
right
for
there with you, brother. I am right there with you. Everyone needs to tune in. We'll update you on the process.
All right, guys. And with that, we will see you on the next one.